So when I was 15 years old, looking back, I never could have dreamt that I'd be where I'm at now. Matter of fact, at 15 years old, all I was doing is trying to make ends meet, living with my mom, because I come from a split household. Dad and mom divorced when I was about 5, and we had no money. The most common theme is we're not heating the outside when I kept a door open too long. Does that resonate with any of you? That's how I grew up. But when I was 16, I did get a job, and I had been working since 14, but I worked at a restaurant, my first real job out there in the field. And I was degraded and talked down to so badly that I became depressed. So bad that I quit that job and I needed a plan. And I didn't want to work for anyone ever again because that experience was so bad and so hard on me that I literally said, I'm going to open my own business. I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. Matter of fact, I knew very little about being an entrepreneur, but I had an art teacher, Mr. Mahalski, who I printed shirts with after school, and he said, you want to do a clothing line? We'll print shirts. I'll do the screens for you. I'll help you get that started. And when I was 16, Fat Clothing Company, PHAT, was formed. Now even then, that company, the goal of that company was not to be where I'm at. The goal of that company was just to provide just enough money that I could travel around and do my snowboarding, because that was my goal. I wanted to be a pro snowboarder. And even into my early 20s, I still probably couldn't have envisioned being where I'm at because all I was doing is snowboarding, even though I had my retail shops, Fat Man board shops at that point, which is a major victory for me, but I couldn't have done that without my mom's help. Yeah, without my mom putting the house on the line as collateral, I could have never opened Fat Man board shops. But even still, I was just a punk snowboard kid running skateboard snowboard shops, living my dream, chasing the professional snowboarding dream. Because of a recession, the dot-com crash, I was forced to think differently. I was literally forced to go back in the workforce, to get a job. I put a resume out, and the only company that wanted to even interview me, let alone the only company that wanted to interview me, was a financial firm, a Wall Street firm. I didn't know the first thing about Wall Street, the first thing about stocks. I knew nothing about any of that. I was a skateboard, snowboard kid that ran skateboard, snowboard shops, period. So what would these guys want with me? Well, Grandma took me out. I got my very first suit, and I went to the interview, and I got the job. I guess what they saw is somebody that was a creator, somebody that was a self-starter, somebody that was able to go out there and against all odds, make it as an entrepreneur. And I made it as a Wall Street advisor as well. I did very well, one of the top 3 advisors at that first firm. And I did a phenomenal job. And I still maintained that professional snowboarding career. I still maintained those shops, although I stopped working in the shops and started working on them. You see, what I'm trying to say is what life throws at you, what you're doing now might not be what you're meant to do. And it might not be where you end up. But the one thing you've always got to do is create a worthy idea in your mind. You must have your dreams clear, and you must focus on them every day. The vision board, write them down, talk about them, tell the universe what you want. I will sell Private Money Club for $350 million. Just like that, what are your goals? What are your dreams? Put them out there, because that's what creation is, and that's how you solidify your worthy idea in your mind. So where am I now? It's an interesting thing. Sometimes I actually have to stop and think about it because things are going by so fast. But I'm running 16 different companies, but I focus most of my time on 2 of those companies. Money School, BYOB, and the Money Multiplier, all one. And then Private Money Club and its ancillary companies like PMC Wealth, PMC Education, PMC Tech. Now, I still own some real estate, but I don't do much with it. I focus on it only when there's an issue. But I have people that I've put in place to handle these things. So my focus goes to 2 places, and that's one piece of advice I could give all of you. Focus on one thing, the one thing that you would do even if you had to do it for free. You see, when I started learning about the infinite banking concepts from Brent Kessler and the Money Multiplier, all I was is a client of the Money Multiplier back in those days. But you see, what I found is something that I love, something that changed my life, my family's life, and something I was using every single day. And I kept focusing on how to use it and how to do it and how to push it forward. You see, first it started with paying off debts. This was just a problem I had, and I needed a solution. The infinite banking concept brought me that solution. The way I found it, I'm not going to go into today, but it was surreal the very moment when I heard about this. Because as a financial advisor, you would have thought I would have known about this, right? Wrong. Never once in the 16 years that I was a financial advisor was I taught or even remotely shown the infinite banking concepts. Not in the slightest. So I had to find it by seeking it. Seek, and you shall find. And that's how I found the infinite banking concept. But you see, as I was using it, it was solving my problems, I knew it would help other people solve their problems. So I started hosting events and having Brent come out and teach my peers, my friends, about this concept. And I watched how it changed their lives. And I started seeing this, so I started talking about it more and more. I started doing more and more events, bringing it up more and more. Now, again, I was just using it at this point. But I was focused on solving somebody else's problem the same way that it solved my problem. That is so important. Because if you focus your time and energy on one worthy idea that solves somebody else's problem, you will find your path. You will become successful. You eventually will become wealthy. The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you will make. But you see, something unique happened. I was the student. I was just learning this. I was applying this in my own life. I was then showing it to other people and allowing them to solve their problems. The student became the teacher. I started teaching this. I started showing other people how this could change their lives, but I was the one speaking. I went out and I spoke at events. I started going to local events and RIAs that I did here in my town, Buffalo, New York. And I started, instead of talking about real estate, I started talking about the infinite banking concepts. And I watched how this changed people's lives, which fueled me to push further. I started using it in real estate. I started using it funding businesses. I started using it for everything and anything I could think about. And as that started to happen, this idea, this worthy idea came into my mind for this place, a community called Private Money Club. It was a dating site for money. People with money have problems. The problem that people with money have is they want to make more of it. So that's one side of the coin. I had a quarter and I'd flip it. Heads was people that had money. And the problem they had is they wanted to make more. But then tails was the other side. People that needed money. I was on that side at that time. I needed money for my real estate deals. I needed money to fuel my business ventures. So that was the problem. I needed money to make more money. And what I thought about is I thought about a dating site that brought people with money together with people that needed money. And Private Money Club was born on a napkin. A simple idea. A dating site for money. A problem solver for the masses. Because every single person out there fits on one of those two sides. They either have money or they need money. So let's bring them together in one community and make it very simple. So that's where that idea came from. You see, the idea for Private Money Club solved the problem that I personally had and I knew a lot of other people had because I was teaching the infinite banking concept. Therefore, all those people had money in their policies and they needed that money to go to work for them. What better place than real estate? What better place than being their own bank? Because the ultimate in real estate is being the bank. So you can see, my worthy idea came out of my own problems. I solved my problem, and then I realized I wasn't the only one, so then I went out and I started creating to solve other people's problems. So long story short, all I did is I went out there and taught people how to be their own bank, how to take back control of their money. And in doing that, I created a platform for the masses that solved a big problem. It brought people with money together with people that needed money in the real estate space. But we pushed that envelope too. So real estate is where we started. Now we're pushing even further. But in doing all this, all I really did is created content. I created education teaching others how to solve their own problem. But the most important thing that I had to learn, and it was very hard, and I didn't learn this, I was actually told this from one of my mentors. And that mentor said this to me, so pay attention. He said, give your best stuff away for free. When I heard that, I'm like, what? You mean all this great stuff I've created that's gonna make me millions of dollars, I just give it away for free? Yes. Give your best stuff away for free. So this video you're watching and the other thousands of videos I've created, I give them all away for free because giving them away for free solves everybody's problem. And because I solve people's problem, my problem gets solved. But with that, I have one problem I need solved right now. Can you help me? I need you to click that subscribe button because the more people that subscribe to this channel are the more people we can help. And there's another little thing I need. Right up above, there's a little bell. See that bell? Smash that bell so you are notified every time I put out new content or go live. That is me giving so you can get. That is me creating to solve your problems. You see, all you need to do is copy what I've done. Duplicate what I've done. Not in the same industry, whatever industry it is. Go out there and find a worthy idea. Create that solution to the problem. Whether or not you're the student or the teacher or both, start somewhere. Then find out, how do I teach others to do the same that I did? How do I solve their problem? The bigger the problem, the more money you will make. And then continue to give and give and give. And if you give, the universe must give back. That is the universal law. Just like gravity, when you jump off a building, bad things happen. So don't jump off any buildings, but go out there and give because the same reciprocal happens, you get. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I just want to solve people's problems. I want to help people. I want to watch people get out of problems that they're in. And you know what? I do this, and it is the most fulfilling thing. We just did an event out in Texas, and I got to talk to some of the people that were there, and they told me how this has changed their life. They were actually crying. They were so happy with joy because what they learned, what we taught them, changed their life and their family's life. That is so fulfilling that it keeps me going. It keeps me getting up every day to do this. It keeps me giving and giving, just like I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to do the same thing I've done because I want you to feel what I've felt. I want you to see the joy of helping other people solve their problems. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep pushing further. With our private foundation and everything else we do, it's all a method to give more and solve more problems and do more for the good of the universe. There is one thing I want to point out that's really important, and I'll use it as a first person, but you got to do things different. So what makes us, or what makes me different than the others? Because there's now lots of other people out there doing the infinite banking concepts. Why are we different? I'll tell you the one thing that makes us different, because almost any licensed agent can sell a specially designed whole life. They can figure out how to design it. They can watch my videos and learn how to do that. But you know where they fail? Where they don't do what we're doing? They focus on the sale. They focus on the product. They focus on selling something because it benefits them. What we have done different is we focused on the solution, the end. We focused on teaching the process, not selling the product. Because if you teach the process, if you show people how to solve their problems, you know what they're always going to do? Ask you to help them. And that would involve them getting a specially designed whole life policy from us, which allows us to make money. But you see, we didn't focus on the sale, the product. We focused on the solution to their problem, teaching them that, showing them how to do that, and also helping them implement that, because this is a brand new concept for most. Left to their own devices and their own ways, they will go back to what they used to do because that's what they've learned their whole life. We have to continue to help them implement. Focus on the fulfillment. Focus on the process. We've built an entire team that focuses on that, and it just costs us money because we don't pass that cost on to our clients. If they're our client, they get that for free. The implementation is the single most important thing. And why other companies have not focused on that, seen that that investment is the single most valuable investment they will make in their business? Well, it's because it costs them money. They want to focus on selling, selling, selling. But because they focus on selling, 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 they will never, ever be able to get to the level that we have until they change the way they look at things. That is what makes us different. Now, I know some of you watching this video, you don't even know what the infinite banking concepts is. And you're wondering, well, I'm going to give you something that will help you solve your problem. And it is a video. Another video I did that we call BYO Bank, and here it is right there. This video, in very simple terms, explains the infinite banking concepts. It explains how you can be your own bank, and in doing so, you will take back control of your money, which is a very important thing. So watch that video, and you know what? Go out there and create. Stop conforming. Stop conforming to other people's failed ideas, failed realities, failed thoughts. Focus on your worthy idea, your dreams, and create them. And in doing so, make sure you solve other people's problems. With that being said, thanks for joining me for this. Go out there and become your own bank. Take back control of your money, and we'll see you on the next one.